I'm coming down to this whitewashed row here. This is Cockle Row, and these are the most significant historic buildings in the whole of Groomsport, and probably most significant historically along this whole coastline. And this section here is thatched. These are old fishermen's cottages. And they were going to be knocked down, but people from the community stepped in and saved these, so we could enjoy them today and we could know what life was like back then. So this is Cockle Row Cottages, and somebody's a wee bit hopeful there with the deck chairs out. And there's a notice board. It's good to see notice boards about the place. The history of Cockle Row. Last reminder of traditional Groomsport. So if you want to step back in time, you come and see Cockle Row. Could be as much as 350 years old. Sign of great age is the fact that they are built at right angles to the sea for shelter, so they didn't face the sea, because they would have got the whole wind and the waves in their face. So they were built at right angles to the sea. Legend had it that there was a blacksmith's forge at this site at the time, and we have already videoed the Marshall Schomburg landing site just round a wee bit. Cottages were inhabited until the 1950s, and in the 1960s were only saved from demolition by Bangor Art Club. Good on Bangor Art Club, who did work up them, and they're open to the public during the summer and at other times by special arrangement. The remainder of Groomsport's traditional cottages disappeared, including a row leading down to the former Coast Guard watch house, the white building at Ballymaccormick Point, which I presume is that up there. I don't know. 1997, an expiry of the last lease of the art club. Not the expiry of the the council were awarded a EU grant for entirely renovating the cottages, which had never had electricity. It reopened that summer. One is a heritage cottage showing a bygone life, and the other is a modern tourist information centre. And there's Groomsport as it was. And this is Tilly Barnes, one of the cottage's inhabitants. There we go. And this is the wee green area. Life as it used to be for many people in Ulster in the 16s and 1700s and 1800s, and it was pretty grim. It was pretty subsistence. And this is all free, of course. Free visitor attraction. And a lot of the artefacts would have been similar to what we would have found in one of these original cottages.
Why? I don't like fire. You don't like fire? No, you don't.
A bit smoky. And this is turf being placed on it. And there's a lot of wee artefacts and all the rest of it down in here. Tilly lamps and what have you. Ear and basin, because there's no running water, obviously. And storage. And there's something to beat your mats. And that's a thing for making butter. And there's all the finery that you'd eat your tea off on special occasions. I'm not too sure what that is. Is that a butter churn as well? I don't know. There's all sorts of things in here. Love this. And there's the type of clothes that people would have worn. My grandmother in Rathfriend wore similar. She was an old dragon, so she was. She believed that children were to be seen and not heard. And but then she lived a hard life, and that's the way she was. I didn't particularly like her too much. And there's how they ironed their clothes. And there's a dressing up box for the kids. And this is a traditional type of yacht that they would have had. Groomsport Model Yacht Club. And there's what they stuck at the bottom of your bed. And there's what do you call it? That would have been under the bed if you're caught short in the middle of the night. And here's more information about the Cockle cottages. Oh, is that the same information? I think it is. And there's these are all carved. Oh, it would have been Baltic here in the winter time. And a cot for the child. And there's Groomsport. What's in the name? You maybe can't see that. So here's the story of Groomsport. The first recorded name is Mallory Town back in 1333. Later became known as Ballymurray, 1625. Groomsport is marked on the maps by Thomas Raven, now North Down Museum. There is a connection. The surname Mallory comes from the Old French malheuret, the unfortunate, the unlucky. In Irish, this became Nolia Grunma, the gloomy servant or fellow. Therefore, it would seem that an Anglo-Norman settler named Mallory lived at this area about 13th century, and the name given to the little harbour settlement, Mallory's Town, became semi-translated into Irish, eventually ending up as Groomsport. Isn't that good? Love that. And this is talking about the arrival of the Scottish planters into the likes of Groomsport. Oh yes, James Hamilton. I've come across him before. He had been granted lands for services to King James I. Groomsport was amongst the new territories. read that for yourself. Hamilton's will shows that he was tolerant of those he trusted. In Groomsport, Owen Duda, his town, Owen Mulcreeve, his town's request for seafaring men and fishers, and may be left at a very good rate. But then the poor man should elsewhere be provided for with favour. Isn't that good? So he was a wee bit, he was a thoughtful guy. Hammond's grandfather in 1674 sold Groomsport to the Reverend Robert Maxwell of Killalay for 900 notes. For many generations thereafter, the Maxwells were major landlords of Groomsport. Right. And so here we are. Traditional fisherman's cottage, Cockle Row. And there hold wee events. Oh, this is a butter stamp, and this is what you would put the butter between. And this is a beetle used for mashing the spuds. My mother had a bowl like that. They were very, very common. So what's this here? This is butter patties, and there you go. A wee bit chilly in winter time, I would imagine. Oh, just more information about Cockle Row here that I might have missed. These are old photographs of how life was.
Okay, sure. I'll log in later.
Look at that. Isn't that amazing? There's the pump.
That's lovely. Thanks for that. Cheers. Bye.
Cockle Row. And I think that this dates from at least 350 years ago. Probably one of the oldest surviving buildings of this kind in Ulster. What does that make it? Mid-1600s? I think so. In and around that.